Hello there. So I've got a feeling of great gratitude this morning towards a writer called Scott Peck, and I want to share with you something which has been of such value throughout a long period of my life. And this is all about community, and what I say about community also applies to relationships, because in a sense relationships and community, the only real difference between the two is a relationship we're talking about usually two people, but not necessarily. In community we're talking about three or more people. That's just a general way of looking at it. So what he has done is he's created a model which I find so helpful, and I love to share helpful information with you, as you know. So when two or more people get together, there's usually an event, an attraction, something that draws two or more people together. In the case of a community, of course, this could be quite a big thing, such as deciding to set up an intentional community to live on a piece of land, to go off grid, which is something that I've done at Middlewood. So when someone does something like that, or you just get together with someone, you become friends, or you get into a sexual relationship, whatever it is, the same factors are at work, which is at first what happens is all the people involved slip quite automatically into what he calls pseudo community. And pseudo community, pseudo comes from the Greek, which means false or fake. And what he's saying is that that's how we begin our journey. We begin our journey in a state of fake community. That sounds a bit in your face, a bit judgmental, a bit off the wall, but actually if you consider the relationships that you've known, that you've been in, any community situations you've been in, you will see how this fits. Because what people naturally tend to do at first, they tend to want to show the other or others the best side of them. We want to edit ourselves, delete all the crap and just give people the best bits, because let's face it, there's a motivating force, whether it's attraction or a shared intention. In the case of a community that's going off grid, for example, shared intention, two people interaction, whatever it is, and we naturally want to show the other or others the image of perfection that we would like to think that we really are, and that's all there is to us. And we all show our best faces, we go to extra trouble, and it's nice, it's great. And we feel really good about the other or others, and they feel good about us, and everything's going along swimmingly until, and this is a really important thing, of course, because people who don't ever give themselves the opportunity to be close with people for any real length of time, they might actually skip everything else I'm going to share with you now. But anyone who's ever been in a relationship where things suddenly started to go a bit dodgy will know exactly what I'm talking about, which is suddenly, apparently out of nowhere, chaos erupts. And this is the second stage of the process he's describing. So we move out of pseudo community, where we're basically faking and showing our best sides, and then something happens, we get triggered, past issues get brought up to the surface by something that the other person does or says, and the next thing you know, one or more of the people are in a state of anger, irritation, upset, judgment, criticism, all these states that we get into. And this is all labelled by Scott Peck as chaos. And this is literally what's happened. So chaos actually comes in to save the day, because if we spent our lives with our relationships and our friendships and our communities in pseudo community, it would be terribly dull and boring, and we would learn nothing. And this is the great danger about what I call the pond skater. A pond skater is a person that gets to know people very superficially, and before they can get to really find anything out about the person, they run off and go and find someone else to be superficial with. I'm speaking especially about people who get into one night stands in terms of the sexual side of things, and in terms of relationships with groups, that they tend to just go for a couple of 3 sessions and go off and do something else and find the next thing. I call them pond skaters because they never get to experience the chaos. Now the thing about chaos is it's ugly, it's upsetting, it's challenging, it's confrontational, and within the chaos lies the seeds of our growth. And within this time we can get very much into our egos. Basically what chaos is the triggering of the ego state in the person or people. And we suddenly become very self-orientated, and we want our way to be the way. And you get to see it especially in terms of groups where they have meetings. As soon as chaos erupts, this is when everyone decides that they've got an opinion and they know they're right and everybody else is wrong. Now, I don't believe there's a person alive today who hasn't experienced this at work, in an organization, in a community, intentional community we're living together, the community of school, hospital, whatever. So many of us have experienced this. And suddenly the moment erupts, and that's it. We know what should be done. We've got the plan. All that needs to happen is everyone has to fall into line with our opinion, and everything's going to be fine. And of course, everyone else in that group or that relationship feels exactly the same way. And it's painful and unpleasant. And basically, at that moment, we are lost. Because basically, the person, the people, they have fallen asleep. That's what going into the ego state is. When you know you're right and everyone else is wrong, you've fallen asleep. And that's what chaos is. And the state of chaos, if you go into it fully, what will happen is it will change very rapidly into the third state. But if you are in a state of resistance, that chaos could last a long time. It could even last years. And there are cases where people are in relationships with each other where this chaos is experienced in what we know as the battle of power. And the battle of power can last for years. And that's because they're in chaos and they never manage to break through the chaos into the next state. So here's the key. When things are in chaos, the first thing you've got to recognize is when you know for sure that you've got all the right answers and everyone else is a complete idiot, you know that you're in your ego, lock, stock and barrel. That's what's happened to you. If you can see someone who's just trying to argue and force their point onto you, you know they're in their ego. Now, when you're in your ego, the very first thing that needs to happen is you need to become aware of the fact. And I grant you, that's not the easiest thing in the world, but better than worse than, that's one of the best things. If you feel inferior to everybody in the room, you're in the ego. If you know you've got all the answers, you feel superior to everyone or to your partner, you know you're an ego, so you're lost. So you wake up to the fact that you're an ego. That is a truly amazing moment, because actually awakening into the fact that you're just in your little me state is what triggers the third state into existence. And the third state is when you realize, oh my goodness me, we're all arguing here, we're all trying to convince each other that we're right and everyone else is wrong, and actually we've fallen asleep, we've gone into our egos, and that is what triggers the third state. And the third state is called emptiness. Because once you recognize you're an ego, that is when the ego collapses, because you've spotted its bullshit. That's what it's all about. Spotting the bullshit in yourself and in others, and them spotting it in themselves causes it to collapse. And I've had the great joy at Middlewood in our intentional community 4-year experience. You can imagine how much I learned in this time and how much we all learned in this time. We are so lucky we had this experience. We can see it's all ego, it's all mind games, it's all bullshit, and then the emptiness descends. And if you're in a group situation, that is recognized in one simple way. Everybody shuts up and goes into silence. And in terms of your relationship, if you're talking about two people, the same thing can happen. It's like, there you are vehemently arguing your case. Oh my goodness me, I just think I'm better than him, stroke her. You just shut up and you go into silence, and that is emptiness. Now when this third state happens, and just imagine there's a lot of people who've been in relationships and been in community groups, they've never even experienced this because they never stayed long enough to find out what happened. It's wonderful, because the emptiness, the silence, first of all, it's actually quite shocking, and then very rapidly it becomes such a relief, because finally I can now let go of all my opinions and judgments about everyone and everything, and that's what all the other people, or the other person is, they're all doing the same thing. Letting go of all those opinions and judgments. and it's a state of peacefulness. Now, the emptiness in the third state creates a sense of peacefulness when you really are immersed in it. And out of the peacefulness, something really miraculous happens. And anyone who's ever been on a plant medicine retreat knows about this. The awareness, the consciousness shifts from the head into the heart. And when that opens, that's funny. When that happens, when that shift from the head to the heart happens, that's when the heart opens. And that's when I realize I love everyone in the group. I love my partner, I love my friend, I love the group of people I'm with, and I feel such gratitude and such appreciation. And then I realize it's all been a silly game, all that ego stuff, trying to impress upon them about my opinion. It's just all a game. And I see through the game. And I see that we are wonderful, beautiful human beings. And we chose to incarnate onto this third dimensional planet so we could experience limitation, conflict, and the joy of resolving conflicts. So the fourth stage is called true community, and that is the resolution of conflicts. And you know I've made films about this before. Our destiny as human beings, as we came to incarnate on this planet, we carry DNA from many, many different extraterrestrial races. And our job was to actually transform our approach to negativity and to be able to resolve conflict. So that's what anyone who's ever been in a relationship had the chance to do, and anyone who's ever been in a community, whether it's an intentional one or whether it's school or college, university, hospital, whatever, workplace. That's a wonderful moment when it arises and you start to feel such a sense of love for the others. And then because you are really experiencing true community, such a sense of love and appreciation for yourself. And that is so beautiful. So that's why I want to say to you, if you are struggling in any relationship situation with any number of beings, be aware that if it starts to turn nasty, what you want to do is you want to start getting excited and say, oh, this is brilliant. I'm feeling really disturbed and freaked out right now. Oh, this is where the good stuff will start to come. Go with the ride, stay with it, be present, realize that as soon as that uncomfortable feeling's arisen, you must have gone into your ego. Now I know I'm my ego. That means that my point of view has just dropped away because it's a game. And I'm now experiencing this feeling of emptiness. I've got so much space inside myself which could be filled with anything I choose. Then from the head to the heart opens and I'm filled with love, gratitude and appreciation for everyone and everything, but most especially the one or the ones I'm with now. That is the journey from pseudo community through chaos into emptiness into true community, and that's when miracles happen, that's when the magic happens, that's when you work together in a way that's never been possible before, because all the little resentments and little opinions have gone, and now we are magic, and we make magic together, and it's such a great feeling. So thank you very much for listening to my story about Scott Peck and the number of times that happened to us. It doesn't just happen once, it happened to us over and over again in our community situation in Middlewood, and it's happened over and over again with my partner as well. Out of the ego, out of the fear, into the love. Such a great journey. So please treat everyone that you interact with as a source of opportunity for you to taste and savour true community in your life. Thank you.